even know if it was bad reffing. I just know that it was bad on our part. Go support your team. Go support fans, cheerleaders.
The auto mix inspired Michael. That's the first time he's ever raised his hands on a yes. Well, so that's pretty impressive.
Scare that referee. Let's talk a little football.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Press Box. This is the 2024 edition. We're so glad you're with us. We're starting a whole new football season, and I'm here with the cast of usual suspects: Randy Young, Michael Best, Jim Rayburn. I'm Austin Reams. And we're so glad you're with us. So glad we're talking about another year of football.
I think that's the unusual suspect.
Yes, unusual.
Yeah, but he finally got it right at the first.
Yeah,
he got the order
I've been
right.
practicing
Everything
all season.
It's all good.
I mean,
you got to get it right.
Yes, it's taken me about a decade or so to get it right, but I think I've got it. In fact, I've got a name for this year's season. You know how they have like Chinese calendars. They have the year of the rat or year of the dog. This is gonna be year of the Michael Best. Because year of the Michael Best, because all the teams are young. All of them.
This is true.
All the teams are young. I'm talking about Colquitt,
I don't know about y'all, but we
Cairo.
Thomasville's not.
Thomasville's not
Central
young.
is.
Central's young. A lot of young. Brookwood's young. A lot of young teams out there. So that's what I'm calling the year of the Michael
We're always
Best.
the oddball.
Yeah,
It's okay. Somebody's got to be.
Somebody's got to have experience.
It's all good.
The other off-season thing to talk about, of course, is reclassification. So, that can be a long conversation, but just kind of maybe a summary of where you guys are at and kind of how things settled for y'all. So, Randy, I'm going to go with you first. This is probably the toughest for the Central fans because you guys got put in a pretty tough classification.
Well, 4 of the teams in our region are in the top 10 preseason polls, and 3 of the defending state champions are in our class. The 7A champ, the 6A champ, and the 5A champ. So it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it's been something to watch, but it is what it is. I'm not sure what you do.
You think they're going to be all right?
Okay. Yeah, it's
Okay.
It should be interesting to say the least. Region-wise, whoever makes it out of our region and gets into the playoffs is going to feel pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, top 4, a little bit like how we were so used to 7A.
Yep.
That's
Just survive.
Just survive and get into the playoffs.
Just survive and get in there.
All right, what about Cairo, Michael Best?
Well, we don't have to go to Columbus.
Amen.
Hey, there you go.
Amen. We don't either.
There you go.
And we get to go to Buc-ee's.
All right, that's good.
That's
We're
good.
playing Buc-ee's and
Yeah.
go up there and play Peach County. But we're back in the Albany. But we play Westover on Halloween night up
goodness.
there in Albany. It's got all the mixings. Of
Yeah.
something really
Somebody from
strange.
Cairo's getting arrested.
Something's happening. I don't know what's going to happen, but
It's going to be bad.
somebody's going down.
Somebody's getting arrested.
Yeah, I like it. I need a T-shirt that says that.
Somebody-
Somebody's
Will
going
get
to get arrested tonight. I can hear it.
Yeah. So, what about Thomasville?
Well, of course, Thomasville been playing in AAA last 2 years. We dropped down to high single A, which basically, except for 3 teams, is the old
Basically, double A sort of.
Region 1 AA. We have Fitzgerald, Worth, and Berrien in there. Cook's the only one. They're in double A. We got Brantley, Bacon County, and Jeff Davis in there with Worth and us. But biggest thing to us is region champions get into playoffs, but after that is power rankings in our classification. Anything that, I don't know if it's AAA down or but I know
That's AAA down. That's
I
right.
know our
down.
classification is. I mean, the region champions, of course, one region, the private schools get pulled out.
Yeah.
And Savannah Christian Day will probably win that region, and so some runner-up team will get in there. But your top 32 teams get in the playoffs, and there's no coin flip anymore. If you're ranked number 1, you're never on the road. You play at home. The higher seed gets the home game. So, same old fact. Got to get by Fitzgerald, and Worth is much better. And don't know much about the others, but
Jim, real quick, how is the power ranking thing determined?
nobody.
Okay,
You had to ask Georgia High School.
Okay, I just
Just like GIA.
I hadn't heard
It takes your whole schedule. So
Okay.
if we play y'all and get beat, we hope if y'all win out, that
helps
us.
you. Right.
Right.
Okay.
But you're still not rooting for Central, though. But
No,
okay,
no,
all right.
no.
Ooh, I hadn't even thought about that. Hey.
No,
I wish they could have arranged that region where somebody could describe it as cook bacon early.
Yeah, that would have made it
would've been
right.
nice.
That would have
been
That would've
nice.
been nice.
Cook's just
Nobody
a
has a
little
sense
bit
of
too
humor.
big.
Yeah.
Where you have to go through coffee to get to them. That'd
Yeah,
be
that
good.
was
like
with coffee.
The
That'd have been
breakfast
perfect.
region.
Or
Yeah, the
crisp.
breakfast region.
And make it crisp.
Oh,
Golly.
man, somebody missed the
We're on to
opportunity
something
here.
here.
All right, was speaking of on, Cairo offense was on, and
That was it. It was.
had a defense kind of struggled against Worth.
It was a scoring battle. They scored on the first play of the game, and we thought, oh, here we go. But we scored on our first series, and then they scored, we scored. It was back and forth, and then they had a scoop and score, which offset it all of a sudden. Because when you're answering them, and all of a sudden they get a free one because they scooped and scored on defense. Now they're up 2, and then a little bit later, we held them and we roughed the kicker, and they got a first down. But we stopped them again. We roughed the kicker again.
There you go.
That wasn't good enough. We're going to rough him
Be
again.
consistent.
Y'all didn't like that kicker.
We're going to rough him up again. And this time they scored, so that put them 3 up. And so we never could quite catch up. But Brian Duncan, who was just a great player in middle school, and last year was coming around a little bit. He scored 5 touchdowns, had 266 yards on 12 carries. He led the team in tackles. He returned all the punts, kickoffs. I mean, he is just
Sold programs and stuff.
Is he going to take your job too?
He may be on the
Is he
radio.
going to blow the smoke when they run
He
on the
may
field?
do that too.
I asked you what happened to the gnats. Y'all have no more gnats over there?
Well, the gnats got swatted a little bit, but we're gonna have to regroup with them gnats. We do. Usually, we're a very veteran team. When I come in here, I talk about the fact that we bring back some good players, and I can't ever remember talking about being as young as we are.
Yeah.
And this year,
I'm
we're
not looking at Jim. I'm not looking at you. I'm staying right over here.
we're
Get
very
some water.
young.
Let's fact check that. Let's roll it back.
We're very young this year, which is unusual, but we're very young in the secondary. Our offensive and defensive lines are returning starters. We have no quarterback with experience. We have a junior who played a little bit last year. We have a freshman who's come in, and he's highly touted, but he's a young kid. He's 14, and he's going to have to grow
Freshman
into
or
it.
freshman.
But we got a pretty good offensive line. We lost an offensive lineman to an injury. They'll be back sometime in the middle of the year. But our kicker, we always seem to I don't know how, but we've got a kid, Dre Bass is his name, and Dre came over from the soccer team. He did all the kickoffs. He made 6 extra points. He punted, had 1 punt for 48 yards, I think. To never play football in his life, I thought was a pretty good night for him. And a deep snapper who plays baseball, who came out and said, I'll try it. And he did a great job. Gage Schaefer came out snapping and did a great job with that. So we had some bright spots. I thought the offensive line played well. Again, Brian Duncan was really good. We got about 5 Teals. I can't keep up. We got a lot of Teals, and all the Teals played well. Justin Teal had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Jalen Teal played well. Zaquavian Teal had a good game. And they're all cousins. And
I was going to ask if they were related.
They are.
I was going to say.
And they came through with that middle school crowd that had a lot of success. But again, they're all sophomores and juniors, and so
It's the year of Michael Best.
we just we get a week to 2 weeks to try to just get ready to go over there.
Now, Pelham has the same
what happens.
thing y'all have, where you're playing on the 23rd is when you start your season. Your thoughts on that, and also for Pelham as well. What do you think about having to start it? I know you guys had basically somebody drop out with you on your schedule.
Yeah,
we
had we didn't have spring because we wanted to have the two scrimmages, because you can do that if you don't do spring. And there was a lot of people that was like, I can't believe they did that. Spring's so important. Tom Falal never did spring, and he turned out okay.
He did pretty good.
It did all right. And so we traded the fact that he knew we were going to be young and we needed an extra. He wanted us to have an extra scrimmage, so we didn't go in the spring. So we had 2 scrimmages, and we showed great improvement between the first one and the second one. But we opened, and we did have Wakulla drop us, but they were later in the schedule anyway, and so we were able to pick up Leon. We had to move Monroe to get Leon in, and we had a couple of teams that agreed and then disagreed and then didn't want to come. But we finally worked it out.
Matanzas wasn't available.
We could not find Matanzas or Salem or
there you go.
anywhere to get them down here to play us.
Yeah, so you got you guys starting on the 23rd. Also, Pelham starts on the 23rd. So moving on to Pelham, you guys, I think maybe getting a little better in that system, anything you guys hear about them as we preview their season? I know you guys are going to be playing them.
Right. They graduated a lot of players last year. They're going to be probably younger than Cairo, is what I'm hearing.
See, I'm telling you, it's the year of the Michael Best.
But Leonard Guyton's had time to get his system implanted
Right.
now, and has had time to get
And
consistency.
that's always a problem. You don't see that offense very
Yep.
often.
Still running the veer.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
They
far
gave
as
us
we
a
know.
tough game last year. It was tough.
Yep.
I mean, just
They had a
trying
very
to
good team
battle
last
that
year.
veer.
Yeah,
And I think they did okay in the scrimmage too, from what I understand. They looked pretty good. But again, they're going to be good.
yeah.
solid.
And them and Mitchell are in the same region back again
Right.
this
That's
year,
right.
so that'll be
Backyard
fun as
brawl.
well. Yep, that'll be fun. So moving on, let's go to Thomas County Central. You guys got Monroe coming up, but really kind of let's talk about the Lowndes game a little bit with the scrimmage and how that went. Really kind of a shocking score, but I mean I don't get tied up in the scores, but obviously the Jackets played well.
Well, anytime you can go up against a team like Lowndes County and walk off 31-3, I mean, you have to feel pretty good about it. But I mean, let's be honest, Lowndes is a program in transition right now, and we've all been there. That is difficult. It's painful. And you could tell they were trying to find something to hang their hat on. I mean, they were trying different guys combination-wise, and our defense looked good. I mean, it looked very similar to what we saw last year. A lot of speed, a lot of guys getting to the ball, very physical. Offense looked pretty solid. Jalen Johnson's Jalen. He's very steady, very consistent. Running backs look very solid. The line, offensive line, still got some continuity work there to do. I mean, it's a whole brand new bunch of guys, and the receivers are the same way. I mean, one starter from last year back on offense, 4 on defense. So there's a lot of inexperience, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Central is when does that confidence level turn on?
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael's not worried. Let's just put it that way.
Well,
When do y'all play the state championship? Who do you
no,
play?
don't start all
Let's
that
just
mess.
go ahead and skip to the
no,
end.
no.
That's
Can
the
we
way
go
I
right
felt.
to the
That's
good
the way I
part?
felt this morning. When did
Can we just go right to the good part?
Well, here's the deal. The last 2 teams for Central have been very senior dominated. This is a very sophomore and junior dominated team. Now, there's some good seniors. You got D. Reddick, who's a Super 11 guy. Cam Brooks down there. Well, Cam's a junior, actually.
yeah.
But Jaden Rubo, who's an all-state guy on the defensive side of the ball. There are some good seniors now, but there's just not many of them. The core of this team is in the juniors and the sophomores. And now when they get their wheels under them, I think it'll be fun to watch. But when that happens, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. So thoughts on the Monroe game? You got the Tornadoes coming in. Just same old Monroe.
Every one of these guys know Monroe. I mean,
they got that? If they're like they were last year, they got athletes
guaranteed
everywhere.
Guaranteed. And if you let them think they can beat you, they'll
will.
beat you. And so our job is to go in there and take care of our business, and don't let them think they've got a shot at winning, because if they start believing, then they will. Monroe's Monroe. They'll bring athletes everywhere, as Jim said, and hopefully again the weather will hold up. That's one of the things you just keep your fingers crossed and pray about, because this time of the year, those evening storms.
It's just gonna be hot this Friday night.
Yeah. Everybody, be careful out there when you're watching.
I'm praying for that weather in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I will tell you, the following Thursday and Friday, there's a 60% chance. So,
Yeah.
There's a storm coming.
And you always trust a farmer.
but
always trust a farmer.
that usually when you need a little bit,
It
that
dwindles. Yeah, it dwindles down. Well, bottom line though, this time of the year, those evening storms that we all dread because of the lightning alarm that seems to follow Michael around everywhere he goes, it's just part of the deal. There's just no way around it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get it in. We'll see.
All right, another interesting game coming up. You've got a team from Utah. So West is going to travel down to play Colquitt County, and Colquitt County is young, to borrow a phrase. They graduated 17 starters from last year's team, from the 2023 team. So thoughts on what this Colquitt County team is going to look like? They have a challenge maybe early on. I always admire the Colquitt program for scheduling these kind of out-of-state games, and to me, they always just do well in all these games, no matter who they play. But kind of thoughts on a young Colquitt team? It's been a long time since we've seen a young Colquitt team.
Now, is this an ESPN game, or is it just?
I don't know any of the details. I've looked, but I haven't seen anything on whether ESPN or doing that. A lot of the ESPN games will be following recruits and stuff.
Right.
I don't think Utah's as hot as South Georgia.
I don't think so.
You got a point. And this is being played outside.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the
At the
turf.
hog pen?
On
The
the
hog
hot,
pen.
on the hot turf.
So-
They'll melt
Yeah.
before it's over with. That'll be Frosty the Snowman trying to get out in the sunshine. But Colquitt, it sounds kind of like, I mean, Central graduated the same number of starters from last year. It sounds like they've got talent.
Yeah.
I mean, the program's in good shape as far as their depth down to the middle school. They get the wheels on them. They should be good. I'd be interested to know what this West team from Utah did last year, and again, who they
Yeah.
lost. I don't know a thing about them.
I don't know.
Never heard of them.
Utah's a little east of Meg or west of Meg, so
It's
I'm
a little hard to
South
know.
of Barn, it's south of Reno.
Okay, that narrows it down.
But I think they have a pretty solid program.
Well, they'd
and,
have to be, I would
Obviously,
guess.
they've been trying to. I think they were trying to schedule Colquitt a couple of years ago. So
How
they
do
had
you
to come
find
in.
a team like that?
I don't know how that works. I'd love to know that.
Yeah.
That's a
Very
unique
interesting.
process. So, looking forward to that game. To me, the game of the week. We'll get to the game of the week, which is THS at
I
Brooks.
was wondering if we ever
We're-
got.
yeah,
You're
you're
down
there.
there.
thought
You're
that
there.
you
It's
left
there.
out.
I checked it. I
I-
checked.
I-
It's
I-
on
I-
there.
I-
Laying
I
by
looked.
waiting for
Well,
the
we got
I was
we
making
have
sure.
Mitchell County. They got Lanier County coming into town. So
They got the Bulldogs coming
so
to
they got
them.
the Bulldogs coming into town. Speaking of the Bulldogs, you guys go to Brooks County to the Rat Palace. Give me a preview of this game. Y'all had a pretty good scrimmage, but what do you think about the Brooks County game?
Had a real good scrimmage. A lot. We're not young. We got 30 seniors and we got about that many juniors. The junior class is the best of the best, but there's some pretty good seniors on this football team too. But we hadn't beat Brooks in Brooks since 17. And we had to come from 20 points down that night. That was one of those
that was a
great
wild
games.
game.
That was one of those great games that we came back and won at the end to seal a playoff spot. But this is usually the home team wins. And Brooks usually, when you go over there, they score early and often and get you behind. But if we can weather this, it's always weather the storm. If we can weather that early storm, I think our depth, we play so many people, I think our depth might wear them down in the second half if we can, because they got a lot of kids going both ways.
Yeah.
And we
Sounds
don't.
like defense is their strength too, Jim. from
Yeah,
what
we're
I'm hearing.
very quick on defense. The defense, that's going to be a key. They got a pretty good quarterback, and they got a real good wide receiver. And of course, they got the Cole kid at running back, and he's awesome. So it's not your normal low single A school. They think they're going to be real good this year. Of course, they don't have Freeman, so
Yeah.
it might be a little. Coach Freeman's gone into Alabama. It might be a little bit different style. I don't know, but this Coach McFarther has been with Coach Freeman for
Yeah.
10 or
So
15
probably a
years.
continuation of the same kind
Probably.
of physical play that they're kind of known for.
and they always got big kids on the line of scrimmage. So
Well, they went to Tift County for their scrimmage. I know in Jeff Littleton, he's been bragging about how many athletes he's got in Tifton, and didn't they shut them out? I think it was 6-0. Something
yeah,
like that.
but somebody told me that Tifton was inside the 10 4 or 5 times and couldn't score, and it was. But it takes a while to put in a program,
It's
and
a
Tifton had a
scrimmage.
long way to go.
Yeah.
And if he's got a lot of, they didn't have a lot of kids. If they got a lot of kids, he's got them going in the right direction. But this looks to be a pretty good season for the Dogs, but we got to get out of the gates good and keep the confidence up.
Yeah, and all these games, of course, they always matter. But now that you're having to impress whoever you're trying to with
Yeah.
rankings,
Right.
you gotta win or look as good as you can.
Right. Unlike all our skilled people, we graduated one receiver. That was Cole Shaw, who's now at the
Mercer,
Mercer and doing well. But everybody else, we got all our 3 running backs are back, our quarterback's back, and wide receivers out the yin
Got a
yang.
bunch of those. Yep.
So should
Gonna
be
be fun.
Should be a fun season, and just glad to get back where we're playing people our size.
Yeah, that's going to be. I like that you guys are in that region. I think it's going to be good for all the teams and programs to have that settled right there. Last, before we go to break, so Brookwood is going to Westfield and Perry. Play their first game. Had a good scrimmage against Petula, and offense looked pretty good. They're gonna, they are young. Going to be young and scrappy team. So it was pretty cool to see those young guys really embrace that though, and do well and play hard. So. We are going to break, and we're going to talk about the FSU and Georgia snub. All right, and we're back, and this is normally part of the show where we talk about college football. So we did not really get to talk about what a wonderful job the College Football Playoff Committee did last year, and just totally even Stephen Fair did a good job. Didn't dump on any precedent or anything. Just straight laced by the board. Did a fantastic job.
There's no bitterness here.
No bitterness at all from me.
I would have loved to have seen him right after it happened.
Oh, it was not pretty.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, that's right. I do come offering gifts though. So anyway, before I get started, so I bought that for you. I don't have anything for you, Randy. And there's a Guy McIntyre card, and there's a Bill Stanfield card.
That's really cool. That's Bill Stanfield.
Bill Stanfield.
Hold it up over.
Hold it up right there.
There you go.
Cairo played at Georgia, and then there we go, another player at
this way,
Georgia.
I don't know where the camera
There you
is.
go.
There you go.
I'm
Guy
not
McIntyre.
the star. I don't know where the camera is.
So anyway, for a whole $1, I got that for you. Don't say I didn't ever spend anything on you guys.
All right.
That's nice.
And I was looking for some of the other greats that were Central's way, but I couldn't find any.
We're good.
We're good. But so I guess
Anybody off last year's team?
Yeah.
could make a card.
we'll.
I'll work on that.
I know, for real. I guess we talk about Georgia's part, and then we'll talk about Florida State's part. Guys, what was? I know Georgia fans are pretty upset where Texas got in and y'all didn't. What's your take on that?
Now, let me say this. Most Georgia fans were not upset because we had a chance to win the SEC championship and get in, and we didn't win. I mean, now hindsight looking at it, you could go, yeah, Georgia's one of the 4 best for sure.
Yeah.
But they had their shot and weren't able to cash in on it. Bottom line.
You feel like that's where the Georgia heartbeat is? They were okay
there's
with
some
that? That's not the
outliers
vibe I was getting, by the way.
Well,
but
I
anyway.
think, I agree with Randy at the fact that we were lucky enough to let it decide on the field, besides what happened to y'all.
Yeah.
And we had our shot, and we didn't do it. Now, there's a thought, like he said, when it's all said and done, you go back and look and go, no, wait a minute. Alabama would have gotten in if that would have been them,
Yeah.
because it's happened before. But
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things about the BCS is that it is a computer formula, and so it doesn't
there's
really
no bias.
It doesn't really weigh when
Supposedly.
you lose, right?
Yep.
So just because you lost the last game doesn't make it weighted
It
any
doesn't
worse
negate
than
the
losing.
whole body of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting argument. The whole FSU thing again, I think was I think it was horrible. I think you can never say. Whenever you go to a game, you never say, a loss is better than a win. But for the College Football Playoff Committee, a loss is better than a win. So the argument would be, well, Alabama would win. We know Alabama's better. That would be the Kurt Herbstreit argument. But, I don't buy that argument.
You don't know that.
Well, number one, you don't know it, right? We're in the theoretical world. But also number two is, that 3-loss Bama team, maybe that was a 2012 team, 3-loss Bama team, they were better than anybody else. They just had kind of 3 bad games, 3 unlucky breaks. So the argument that this team is better, well, they didn't show it on the field.
Yeah.
And I think what made it more kind of bitter for FSU fans is, to me, all year long, I thought Georgia was the best team. Georgia, Bama, and Michigan, to me, were the 3 kind of teams that were up there. I'm like, I don't think we could get them. But when you looked at basically Bama did not play good against Michigan at all. Michigan gave that game away in a lot of ways with their turnovers, really horrible turnovers, and still kind of won going away.
Yeah.
That made it all the more bitter, I think, in that way. So it is going to be a very interesting time for Kurt Herbstreit, who seemingly led the charge for Alabama.
Well, he's off the hook this year because of the 12-team thing. I mean, that makes it a lot easier as far as he's concerned.
But he's going to be College Game Day will be in Ireland when FSU and Georgia Tech play.
That'd be interesting.
And that is going to be a very interesting television right there.
You got a bunch of drunk Irish FSU fans. That could get ugly quick.
This is very
Just saying.
ugly. And again, I think Herbstreit was wrong. I think he somehow heard wind that it was Nick Saban's last year, and he kind of went for it. And again, I don't. This is not a Nick Saban or Bama thing to me. This is ESPN, who has a lot of money and power and cachet. They need to kind of look in the mirror and be like, hey, we can't be seen as level in the playing field.
Right.
And why did the SEC commissioner get so much time on College Game Day when you don't give the ACC commissioner all that time? Also, you're getting FSU at a discount, right? You're not paying them, you're paying them through the ACC. So to me, the big screw up isn't Bama. It looked like ESPN was tipping the scales, and that to me kind of ticks me off more than anything. And kind of like, I don't really think they know. I don't think ESPN has a clue about. I mean, they're going to have a lot of fans that are going to be very upset with them, including the funny story to me was Paul Feinbaum going to a Christmas party with his wife. Kind of all this settled, and he's just like, this lady doesn't know anything about football. She's asking me about how Florida State got snubbed. I mean, it's kind of like it kind of resonated outside. But again, I always played to win, and they basically, the committee said a loss is better than a win.
Well, it's an unfortunate thing too when you've got, and don't get me wrong, I think Jordan Travis, fantastic player, no question, the biggest weapon on FSU's offense.
Nobody disputes that.
But a team is a team.
Yep.
It's bigger than one guy.
Yeah.
And to tell those other guys, okay, we're removing this guy so you don't really matter anymore. That's just not right. I mean, you either earn it on the field or you don't. Bottom line. And what's crazy now this year, like with the SEC, you don't want to go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
You don't want to. I mean, you go in.
You're punished. Yeah.
You lose that game, and now you bumped out of the top 5, which means you're going to be on the road traveling to start the playoffs. You lose the bye week, quote unquote.
Yeah.
If you're not in it, though, you get the bye week because you're not in it. I mean, you got these big SEC guys going, we don't want to be in it. We don't want to be in it. I mean, how do you say that?
Yeah.
But it's true. Yeah. Anyway, it's a mess.
Can we discuss what happened after this? Where did y'all's players go? We just wanted to play a football game.
Yeah, I'll be glad to talk about it. Like if you complete all your requirements to graduate from Thomasville High School,
I did.
and then you get up on that stage and they say, we're changing the rules on you.
Jim checked. He said it's not true.
Jim said they're changing the rules. You can't graduate. Are you showing up to that graduation party?
I did.
Same circumstance.
He was a visitor.
Who told you about all that, by the way?
He's been doing his homework.
Yeah. No, but you see what I'm saying? To me, if they're going to make a mockery out of your performance, then you don't have to make them happy.
But at that point too, I got something to prove. I got a point to prove.
You don't have anything to prove.
To my teammates,
For
to
your
myself,
school.
to your
No, you
program, to your fans. Yeah, you do.
You don't have anything. You proved it for 13 weeks, for 13 games. You don't have anything to prove.
The bowl
that's
is the bowl. It's a game.
That's very much an SEC thing to say. Like, we got to prove it on the field until we lose the bowl game.
Well, what
But
was
anyway,
y'all's excuse when Texas beat? We didn't really want to play. Remember?
We had a bunch
Sugar
of guys.
Bowl?
I
We
wasn't
didn't
happy
really
about
want to
it.
be there.
No, I know. I wasn't
So-
happy about it a bit. I paid my money to go to New Orleans to support the team to play to win, and half the guys decided they didn't want to play. I didn't like it.
And
It's
there we
wrong.
are. There we
Sorry.
are.
That's
Back-
college football today.
Oh, I know. But it doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. And there
You
we
signed
are.
a contract to go to that school,
100%.
play football. To
And
the
there we
end.
are. There we are talking about playing to win. So again, to me, that's when you really strike at the heart of competition. When you say, you don't have to play to win. This game doesn't matter. So I do think like
I get it.
I get it.
get it.
I would have rather than had showed up. But if you say, okay, Randy's got some talented kids in music. If you say, okay, your kids, you have an opportunity to play in this competition, but you might get hurt, but you're going to get paid more if you sit out this competition.
I get it.
And by the way, the draft stock showed that. By the way, 11 players drafted. So anyway, I'm still bitter. And
Really?
I get Georgia.
No, we hadn't figured that out.
I know.
Is that why you,
I
is that
know.
why you grew to be?
That's right. This I aged instantly. Got bitter and old.
Kind of covers up
So
the red
there
a
we
little
go.
bit.
There we go.
Full
All the
vein.
drinking I did to get through this. But
Well, I was
no.
bitter with Ohio State. You going in to play a decent team in a bowl game, and your starting quarterback opts out and doesn't play.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
You gotta be
we do have to
kidding me.
figure that out. We
Right.
do have to figure that. And no, I'm not saying this is a good solution.
Yep.
But there are. We can talk about more of what went on within the program. But anyway, we got to wrap up the show.
Yep.
So we'll see you guys next week on the Press Box.